Hey everyone, Justin Conroy, Financial Dad here. So, a few years ago, I was talking about cars with one of my mentors, and during the conversation, he told me that he always leases cars. Now, this guy is incredibly successful and knows his stuff when it comes to money, and up to that point in my life, I'd always been led to believe that car leasing wasn't a financially smart thing to do. So, when this guy told me that he only leases cars, I was admittedly a bit confused. I went home that day and spent about 20 minutes looking up how it all works, trying to educate myself, and I quickly realized that this was a much more complicated topic than I had time to spend on that day. And since then, it's bothered me. So over the past few days, I've set out to answer the question once and for all, which is better, leasing cars or buying cars? And honestly, what I found is a bit disturbing. They make this topic way overcomplicated, and as a result, it's really difficult to figure out the break-even point. So today, I want to take you through all the deep dive analysis of what I've done, show you how all the math behind car leasing works, how it compares to traditional financing, and how to find the break-even point when looking at a deal. My goal today is to break down car leasing to its simplest and most logical form so that you can understand how it works and make the best decision for your situation. Real quick before we start, if you like this video and you're into personal finance, money management, and wealth building content, please consider subscribing. Videos like this take a lot of time to put together, and subscribing really helps this channel grow. Plus, it's free, and you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Thanks for watching. Here we go. First off, I'm going to assume that you already know how normal financing works, so I'm not going to dig into the details of that. So let's first address the question, what is a car lease? Well, car lease is just basically a long-term rental. In its simplest form, you go into a dealership, you see the car you want, you decide you want to lease it, you negotiate the terms, and drive off with the car for a few years. After your lease term is up, depending on your contract, you take the car back, and at that point you have three options. First, you can buy the car from them based on what they call the residual value. We'll get into that shortly. You can pay some fees, turn the car in, and walk away, or you can trade in your current lease and get a new one. People like leasing because in general, your monthly payments will be lower, which can make your car feel cheaper. You aren't responsible for most of the maintenance required on the car, and most people who lease perpetually lease, so they're always in brand new cars. So there's definitely some advantages there, and depending on your lifestyle, those advantages could be the deciding factor for you. On the flip side though, there are a few restrictions that make them completely infeasible for certain people. For example, there's generally a limit of about 10,000 to 15,000 miles per year that you're allowed to drive the car without some pretty stiff per mile penalties. So if you, like me, drive 25 or 30,000 miles per year, leasing just won't be a feasible option for you. Okay, so now that we've got the general idea, let's dig into some numbers. How is your lease payment calculated? Let's jump over to my computer and I'll show you. All right, first off, there is a link down below in the description to the spreadsheet if you want to follow along or copy it and do with it what you will. I've put a lot of work into this and I've tried to make it as simple as possible, but let me walk you through what we've got. Down at the bottom, we've got four tabs. We've got the lease explanation, the financing explanation, the comparison, and the depreciation curve. I'll get to each of these in turn. I just want you to know that they're there. Let's start off with the lease calculation. We have several areas here that I've made. We have the inputs area. This is where we're going to type in most of our data entry points. You'll see that in just a second. Then we have our base payment calculation, the rent charge calculation, the taxes, and the totals. And so what we're after here is the monthly lease payment. So the first thing you need to know is the monthly lease payment is made up of these three things. There's a base payment, a rent charge, and taxes. Okay? And then finally, we have a section down here that talks about that option I talked about earlier. If you want to pay that fee and walk away, I'll show you what that looks like. Let's go ahead and expand the inputs area and see what we've got. First, we have the MSRP. This is the manufacturer suggested retail price. Then we have the negotiated sales price. That's what you negotiate with the salesman. The down payment that you're going to put down, the rebates that you're going to get from the dealership, the trade-in value of the vehicle that you're going to be turning in if you're going to be turning one in, the money factor, which is just a confusing way of handling interest rates. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. The fees associated with getting the car, the residual value, which is the forecasted value of the car at the end of the lease, and in this case I'm doing it as a percentage of the MSRP, the sales tax associated with the car, and the lease terms in months. So this one's 36. Now, what I've got here are these green cells, and this is where the example is. These are the numbers that I'm going to be working with. It's just an example that I put together for showing how this works. So I'm going to scroll down a bit. I mentioned earlier that the monthly lease payment is calculated based on the base payment, the rent charge, and the taxes. So I'm going to go ahead and expand the base payment calculation area now so that we can see what that looks like. First off, you can see the residual value of the car, and in this case, I'm simply multiplying the MSRP times the residual value percentage that I had up top. That's how that number gets calculated. We have something called the gross capitalized costs, and this is simply the negotiated sales price plus the fees, so that's what you owe the dealer. Then moving down, we have the capitalized cost reduction. This is the money off that you're going to be taking away from what you owe the dealer. So that's down payment, rebates, and trade-in value in this case. Scroll down a little bit, we have the adjusted capitalized cost, which is just the gross capitalized costs minus the capitalized cost reduction. And then finally, we have the depreciation amount, which is the adjusted capitalized costs minus the residual value. Now, the whole point of this is to get down to the depreciation amount, because what's happening here is they want to charge you for the amount that the car depreciates while you have it. So, for example, in its simplest form, if we get rid of all the fluff, we're taking the negotiated sales price minus the residual value, okay? There just happens to be extra stuff in the example because that's typically how things work. So if we take what the car is worth today and subtract what the car will be worth in the future, that is our depreciation amount, and the dealership wants to charge you for that money because you're taking the car away at one value and you're giving it back at another. So what they do at that point is they take that full depreciation amount, they divide that by the number of months, which in this case is 36, as you can see there, and we get the monthly base payment amount of the lease payment. So this is part one of your lease payment. Next, let's scroll down and look at the rent charge calculation. This is the part of the calculation where the lending company wants to charge you interest for the long-term rental that you're taking. And what they do is they take the average value of the car during the lease and they multiply that by something called the money factor. So what is money factor? Well, money factor is one of the things that I spent the most time trying to figure out. Most places that you look online will just say that the money factor is the interest rate that you're taking divided by 2,400. And for me, that's not good enough. I want to know where those numbers come from. So I got on a whiteboard and I figured it out. Let me show you. Don't be scared. This is simple Algebra 1 that you learned in high school. Let me walk you through it. We saw before that we were looking at rental charge. Well, rental charge was calculated by adding the sales price of the car plus the residual value of the car and multiplying that times money factor. That's what we have here, right here. Sales plus residual times money factor gives us the rental charge. We saw that earlier. If we look at that in a little bit different terms though, and we're really trying to get after annual interest rate, we can start thinking about this in different ways. What if we called VA the average value of the car and multiplied that by the monthly interest rate, because that's what we're going to be doing eventually, is we want to get a rental charge per month, and then we're probably going to have some sort of constant, C, that we're going to have to figure out at some point. If we define VA at that point, which is our average value, as S plus RV over 2, that's sales price plus residual value over 2, average value. And we define IM, that's our monthly interest rate, as our annual interest rate divided by 12. Again, simple stuff. We can change those variables out and our formula up here starts looking a little bit different. S plus RV times F, that's this part right here, equals VA, there's the VA right there, S plus RV over 2, times IM, which is IA over 12. And the C is starting to fall out in these constants. So we simplify this down a little bit and we get F is equal to IA over 24. That happens because we get rid of the S plus RV on both sides and we combine the 12 times 2 to get 24. So we have money factor is equal to annual interest rate divided by 24. Now what you'll see if you look at all the websites, like I mentioned earlier, is that you'll see that money factor and interest rate are talked about in terms of a factor of 2,400. This is what we've got. 2,400 and 24 are just simply factors of 100, which is another way of saying some people are looking at percentages and some people are looking at decimals. This version is looking at decimals. We've solved it. We know exactly how we got there. Money factor and interest rate are related by the average value of the vehicle over the term in terms of an annual percentage rate. So if you're ever looking at a car lease and they throw some money factor at you and you want to know what the actual interest rate that they're charging you is, take that money factor and multiply it by 24 or 2,400, depending on how you like to think, and you'll be able to see what their interest rate is. Here's something interesting that I found. On wallethub.com, I'll put a link down in the description. They did a study to see what the common interest rates were for leasing compared to financing, looking at those money factors in Q1 of 2020. And what we can see here is that on average for the various brands, leasing an APR on the leasing, that equivalent money factor, that equivalent annual interest rate is significantly higher than financing. Financing for 2020 Q1 was 2.76. Leasing was 5.85, so significantly higher. Always watch out for this. This is one of the ways that they hide how much money they're actually charging you in that leasing calculation. Be careful. Let's move back over to our spreadsheet and move down to the taxes. We'll expand this out. Monthly taxes is actually pretty straightforward. We're going to take our rent charge plus the base payment, so our total payment per month at this point, and multiply it by our tax rate up here. Our sales tax in this case we defined as 10.25. Plug in your sales tax, whatever makes sense, obviously, and we get our monthly taxes. Now, at this point, we have the three things that we need. We have the base payment, we have the rent charge, and we have the monthly taxes. If we open this up, we can see that our totals for the monthly lease payment are $313 per month, and over the term of the lease, 36 months, that's going to cost us $10,804.84 to have this car. So as you can see, that's quite a lot just to get to the monthly rental charge. And all we're doing is trying to figure out three things: the base payment, the rent charge, and the taxes. Taxes are easy. Rent charge is basically the interest that they're going to charge you over the term, and the base payment is them charging you for the depreciation of the car. Actually pretty simple, but they make it incredibly complex to actually get to the number. So before we get into the break-even analysis, just one quick note on the walk-away option. So let's say that you want to walk away from the lease, you don't want to re-up the lease, you just want to turn in the keys and walk away. There are going to be some fees associated with that. I plugged in zeros for most of them because we just don't know what they're going to be until you get there. There's going to be excessive mileage fees, so depending on how many miles over you went on the limit, they're going to charge you a per mile overage. So you're going to have to plug that in here. There's probably going to be some wear and tear fees depending on the leasing company that you're looking at. They're going to do an inspection and determine how much money you owe them. There's a disposition fee, which is usually somewhere between $200 and $500. And that's basically so that it can pay for them to resell the car. And then total maintenance over the car. It depends on the lease. Sometimes you may be responsible for some things, sometimes they will. It depends. Read your fine print, make sure you know what's up. In this case, I plugged in $400 for a disposition fee, and we get a total cost of ownership of this lease over 36 months of $11,204.84. One other note when it comes to wear and tear, I did see some people on the forums complaining that leasing companies were taking advantage of them. Again, they do the inspection. They tell you how much you owe depending on wear and tear damage on the car. There are people complaining anywhere from $500 to $4,000 for a stain on some forums. Don't know how true that was. Obviously, it's the internet. It's just a forum, but just be wary of these things. Be ready to possibly have to pay some money if you turn in the lease. Okay, so I've zoomed back out. You can see the full lease calculation in all its glory that we just went through. Hopefully that made sense. Let's jump over to the financing explanation. And just as a quick run through on what financing is, we have all the same inputs from our lease calculation. Let's zoom back in. All the same inputs that make sense, of course. This time we're going to define an APR of 3.25%, a total loan term of 60 months, the residual value after the loan term, I'll come to that in just a second, and then the monthly maintenance that you're going to have to pay for things like tires and oil changes and everything else. It's a new car. We don't expect too much to happen, but it is going to cost you some money. I'm assuming that's going to cost $40 a month. What about this residual value after the term? That's where this depreciation curve comes in. So we need a way to be able to understand what is your car going to be worth after a certain amount of time. So I found a website that had a pretty nice curve that I did a regression on. It was over here at goodcalculators.com. There will be a link to it in the spreadsheet here. It's a car depreciation calculator. I snagged the data from there, did a little bit of math on it, and came up with a regression, a logarithmic regression right here that we're going to use for our calculation. So we can plug in a loan term and get a value of a car depending on the car's value up here, which we typed in. Same as before on the other sheets. That's where these numbers are coming from. We're going to use this several times later on, you'll see. Just want you to know where that comes from. Back to the financing explanation. We get down here, again, I'm assuming you already kind of know how this works. We're going to finance $20,000. There's going to be a sales tax at 10%. We're going to have a principal value of $22,700. Monthly interest rate is our annual divided by the total number of months. Amortize that out and we get our monthly payments. Again, I'm assuming you know how this works already. This is pretty common stuff. In order to get the total cost over the term, over the 60-month term, we get our total maintenance cost. That's $40 times our 60 months. Our total monthly payments, that's $410 times 60. The residual value after the term, so this assumes that at the end of 60 months, you sell the car for its residual value. So we get all those numbers added up, minus out the residual value, and we get a total cost of ownership of this car after 60 months, if you finance it, of $15,366. Now I want to move on to the comparison, do the break-even analysis. So far, we've looked at a financing option of 60 months and a leasing option of 36 months. There's a big difference there, and we need to normalize those values so we can talk apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So that's what I have over here on the comparison sheet. Let me jump over there now, zoom out just a bit so you can see what's going on. We've got the same stuff from the other sheets. Over here on the left, I've got lease calculation, exactly the same thing we saw before. I just brought it over so that we could see what's going on. In the middle, we have financing calculation. Again, exactly the same thing that's on the other sheet. Just brought it over so we could see it. And we've got this break-even analysis. Now, this looks like a lot, but this is actually very simple. First of all, we have our major assumptions to cover. So what we're trying to do here is find the break-even point for two separate scenarios. On one hand, we're going to take the lease that we talked about, 36 months, it's going to come out to $300 a month, and we're going to do that perpetually. Every time this lease runs out, we're going to go re-up on the same exact car over and over and over again until time runs out and see where that goes. On the other side, we're going to finance a car for 60 months, we're going to pay it off, we're going to own the car, and we're going to keep it until we need to keep it. At some point, those two numbers are going to match up and we're going to have a break-even point, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So there's one thing we need to talk about, which is the maintenance. I don't want to assume that maintenance stays at $40 a month for a car that you purchase and then you keep for more than 5 years. I've got a number over here. I'm assuming it's $100 a month. And what we're basically saying is that if you buy a car and you keep it for 5 years, at the 5-year mark, it suddenly is going to cost $100 a month to maintain. It's a little bit crazy to say that it just jumps like that, but I'm basically assuming, I'm trying to be conservative here, that maintenance costs go way up after 5 years because honestly, they kind of do. It might not be $100 at 5 years, but at 15 years, it very well may be $300. We're just trying to balance it out a little bit here and get a little bit more accurate picture. So what I'm going to do here is collapse these columns here so that we can focus in on the break-even calculation. I'm going to zoom in and show you what we've got. Here's that $100 I talked about. So this accounts for maintenance costs after 5 years of owning a car. And then we have a couple of things here. We're just kind of looking at what happens at 60 months. Well, at 60 months, you can see that the residual value of the car, what's the car worth? It's about $11,600. The lease cost is $18,000 at that point. We re-upped and re-upped and re-upped, and now we're at $18,000 to have this vehicle. And the financing cost is $15,000. So already at 60 months, it's actually cheaper by $2,600 to finance the car and buy it outright. Interesting. At 72 months, you can see that it gets a little bit worse. It's $21,000 to lease the car, $18,000 to finance the car, and that does factor in all the residual values, by the way. That assumes we sell the car at 72 months in this case and 60 months in this case. And again, the difference is even larger, $3,500 better off by financing the car. Down here, we're getting into the 84-month territory, and as you can see, it gets even better for the financing picture. We're $4,600 saved just by financing the car versus leasing. So another way of looking at this is if you were to lease for 84 months versus buy, you would have wasted $4,600 in terms of the money. So of course you'll be driving brand new cars every 3 years. That's something else to factor in, but if you're like me and you don't care, the money is more important. Scrolling down just a little bit, we're getting to the point in the calculation where we're looking at the true break-even point. Now, the formula to figure this out is a little bit complex, and for someone who's maybe a better math person than I am, you could probably find an algebraic solution to it. I was not able to do it. I'm admittedly a bit rusty in my math, but what I did is apply a fixed point iteration method to find the numerical solution to the problem. So if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I didn't learn about it until my junior year in engineering school. It's not really that complicated, but what it is, we're basically just guessing and checking points to see where that number finally comes. And once our two numbers here match, we know we found the solution. So I've left it here. on purpose so that we can plug it in. I'm going to copy the result value from this cell here, 4687. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste the value back into the input, and what we're doing is just iterating. Okay, so you iterate this a couple of times, copy and paste values, copies and paste values, copies and paste values. Do that a few times, and you can see that we're getting closer and closer and closer, and we finally matched our break-even point for this particular car is 46.8 months. If you lease the car for 3.9 years, 46.8 months, it would be exactly the same as buying the car for 46.8 months and then selling it. You would be breaking even. Total cost, $14,000 to finance, $14,000 to lease. That is our break-even point. Equivalent monthly leasing and buying cost in this case. This is the break-even point for this example. I do want to stress that it's for this example. 3.9 years is the break-even point for this particular example. If we go back over to our leasing calculation and change some numbers, for example, let's say we have an MSRP of $25,000 and we negotiate it down to $22,000. The calculation would then rerun and we would get slightly different numbers. Our lease payment is now $274. Financing is now $338. We go to the comparison. We do our break-even iterations a few more times here. There it is. Took about 15 iterations. We get $274, 3.65 years to make this one happen. It's a little bit shorter. So as you can see, as the terms of your lease or your financing change, the break-even point changes. But as we can see, even with two examples, it's somewhere between 3 and 4 years, which is an interesting point. I ran this calculation for several different ranges of car deals that I could think of, and the break-even point usually actually does come out to be somewhere between 3.5 to 4.5 years, which is interesting because what it means is that if you're like me and you don't mind driving older vehicles, you don't really care about being in a brand new car every day, and you really just want to save money because that's what's most important to you, then leasing is probably not the best option for you. Now, if, for example, you are in this country temporarily and you are thinking about whether or not you want to buy or lease and you're only going to be here for 2.5 years and then you're going to have to go home to wherever you live, hey, leasing is probably a better option for you in this case. So it's not all bad, but it really does depend on your situation. And that's really what this video is all about. That's really what I want to stress. Depending on your situation, leasing could be good or it could be bad. There is definitely a break-even point, but for most people, I would guess, buying a car or financing a car is a much better option. Buy the car, keep it for a long time until a point at which it becomes too much to maintain, and it's going to be a cheaper option for you overall. You're going to spend less money, and you're not going to worry about being in a new car because you don't care about that. You care more about the money. That's why I'm driving the same truck I've had since 2012, and I probably won't get rid of it for another 10 years. So what do you think? Do you lease? Do you buy? Have you ever thought about these numbers? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm honestly curious to hear what you guys think about leasing versus buying. I've always thought this is a very interesting topic. I couldn't find anything online about a break-even analysis, so I'm really happy I was able to put this together. If you're a math person, feel free to check the spreadsheet. Let me know if you find issues. If anybody finds any issues, I'll put it down below in the description, and I'll fix the spreadsheet in the future. Just want to make sure we all have the right information so we can make the right decisions for our own situations. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Like I said, this takes a lot of time to put together, and I really appreciate your support. Subscribing really helps this channel grow, and you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you learned something. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.